Hello everybody, I'm Cantonese Cat. Hey everybody, Cantonese Cat here. Fintech Thursday. Gonna talk about 10 fintech stocks. I'm pretty decently positioned in Robinhood, SOFI, Shopify, and AFRM. I'm gonna talk about 10 of these different fintech stocks, and those four actually are one of the outperformers out of the whole list here. So very happy about that. This is Robinhood. What do we have here in Robinhood? I mentioned the possibility of getting rejected at 0.886. It's certainly doing that right now. Why are we having a hard time pushing through? Because the upper Bollinger Band, even though it's expanding, matter of fact, if you look at the lower Bollinger Band, it is re-expanding here. This is a good sign. This tells us that the bull trend is probably still going to keep on going up higher, and we are at the final boss. The final boss is the 0.886. Why we have a hard time breaking through? A few reasons. Look at a monthly chart. We are at the upper Bollinger Band, and the upper Bollinger Band is expanding, but we simply just haven't had the full expansion that really allow us to just kind of push through that and go higher, but it is expanding to the upside, and I think given time it will push through the 0.86 because it's a very, very strong bull trend. Last time when we pushed through, we couldn't do that because it was just way outside the upper Bollinger Band. Now we got a candle that is within engulfing the upper Bollinger Band here. I don't think we're overextended. There is a chance, and we're only on May 15th today, only halfway through the month. There is a chance that we could close above the 0.86. If we end up closing above the 0.86, then the sky is the limit, right? Then some of the upper levels over here potentially be met. The biggest reason is the Bollinger Band is not really completely expanded. We did end up coming back down and back test the Tenkan and Kijun, the red and blue line over here of the Ichimoku cloud analysis, and we bounced off of this, had a really good reaction, going right, push back, right, up, right, push through the 0.786 like it's butter again. And we are not that far away from the Tenkan. Generally, I get worried about things where we're just way too far away from the Tenkan. We are not too far away from the Tenkan, so then the Tenkan is rising too. So I actually think there's probably room for Robin to go up from here. Whether or not it's going to be this month, next month, I don't know. Even look at a weekly, it looks like it is over all these Tenkan Kijun support down here below over 0.76. We don't have a gap here anymore. That gap is not there. So there's no particular reason to go down and grab liquidity with any particular gap close or anything like that. Looking at Bollinger Band, you can see how the weekly is expanding to upside here too. And right around when we hit the 0.86, we're also hitting up a Bollinger Band. So we're having a hard time pushing through because both the monthly and the weekly Bollinger Band are still waiting to expand. And we're still waiting for that to happen. But while we're waiting for that, we're going to maybe have a little bit more difficulty to try and push through here. Again, if we end up pushing through 0.86 and the Bollinger Band continues to expand because these are very, very impulsive, price action and a lot of volatility, then I think some of the higher targets could potentially be met up here. Maybe I'm not even going to mention them. I think it's kind of silly to do that right now. This is SOFI. If you're talking about SOFI, I do have a GAN level here that's been working pretty decent here. Initially, I was eyeing that it could potentially break through this GAN arc right here. But this week so far, we end up getting rejected. Part of the reason why is because there was a gap down here below. And today we end up going back down and actually closed the gap. So there's not really any major weekly gap that I'm really worried about SOFI anymore, which is actually a relief to not having to see any worries for any gap close down below. It gives me more confidence actually that is probably going to push through the arc, back test the arc, push through the horizontal here around 16, back test it, and probably going to go to around 20 to 22, somewhere around here next is what I think is most likely going to happen. Now, if you don't look at the GAN here, if I just do a monthly, and I can draw this GAN back here at any time, so I'm just going to get rid of that. Looking at the monthly here, looking at the Fibonacci sequence, you can see on the log fib here, we're still trying to push through the 0.618 here, right? We're still having a little hard time pushing through, but the Bollinger Band is expanding to the upside. I think eventually it's going to serve as glue to kind of let price graduate back up to the upper Bollinger Band here as it continues to expand. Right now we are holding, getting held up by a little bit of hurdle here, but we also back tested Tenkan, back tested the Kijun, back tested the bottom of the immature Ichimoku cloud, back tested the 0.382, bounced off the 0.382, bounced off the cloud, bounced off 0.5, bounced off the Kijun, bounce out of the Tenkan here as well, and Tenkan's pointing up, right? All of these liquidity grab basically tells you there's a lot of energy that's being already been expended by the bears, and a lot of support and a lot of demand is down here, and the trend is still bullish because the Tenkan is rising, is going to help push price eventually above the 0.618, right? Bollinger Band is not the issue here, right? So I think SOFI actually has maybe a little bit more room to go. If you're looking at the weekly Bollinger Band, you can see that it's basically kind of doing a little bit of a back test here after pushing through the 20-week moving average. This is still a little bit negative slope, so we might need a little bit more time to kind of work things out before going up higher. But if we're able to hold the 20-week moving average, then the upper Bollinger Band is going to be next, right? So if we're able to hold that, 16, 17 bucks could be in the books, and which would fit some of my higher time frame targets. Would also fit what I was showing you here with the GANs square here earlier as well. I think that I think that SOFI looks great. Back tested 20, back tested every element down here in the cloud. We just need to push to 0.618 and re-challenge some of these FIP levels up above. And then we're probably going to go higher from here. Shopify is a stock that I own. I feel extremely bullish about Shopify. There are a couple of things to look at here in the Shopify chart. First of all, it tried to challenge the 0.786. Usually 0.786, if you push through that, unless the 0.886 is a really strong resistance, usually 0.786 is like the final boss. 0.886 may be the final boss. But 0.786 here seems to be the final boss over here because we spent about half a year trying to push through and not able to. Once we push those 0.786, I think we're probably going to end up making all-time highs sometime around 2026. Right. Overall, big channel, higher highs, higher lows. And if you also pull up some of the other indicators here, look at the Bollinger Band here. Look how nicely it's been respecting the 21 moving average. Look at how nicely it has turned the Ichimoku cloud here on the monthly from resistance over here, flip in the support, and back tested it. It back tested all the way to the bottom of the Ichimoku cloud. All the way to the bottom of the Ichimoku cloud. Bounced off of that, tested the Tenkan and Kijun in the meantime, bounced off the cloud, close above the cloud in April. This is a very, very significant event. Right now, it's got very much of a morning star pattern to it, where you have a down candle, doji candle, and an up candle. This is a huge, powerful reversal pattern that, with together the fact that it's above the cloud, together the fact that the Tenkan is pointing up, I think that Shopify is looking poised to break the 0.786 to go higher. And if it breaks the 0.786, I think it's going to make some all-time highs. It's building up a lot of energy to do that. It looks like it wants to do it. I love this chart. AFRM is a little bit more delayed. AFRM is just like SOFI is trying to break above the 0.618. The difference between AFRM and SOFI is above the cloud. SOFI is above the Tenkan and the Kijun. AFRM is underneath the cloud. AFRM is stuck between the Tenkan and Kijun. Right? Have a little bit of a hard time breaking above. If you're looking at the weekly chart, though, it's showing you the same thing. It's stuck between the cloud and the Kijun and the 0.618. It's got a little bit more of a work to do, but I think it's got more support down here below than it does have resistance. Look at the 20-week moving average. It also shows you a little bit more of a delay here in terms of trying to break above the 20. Because if you break above the 20, then you're going back to upper Bollinger Band, back to the 70s, right? But we're not able to do that. We have these wicks down here below. So AFRM is still more or less still stuck in range, right? Stuck at the cloud, stuck at the 0.618, stuck with the Kijun, stuck with the Tenkan. It's stuck. The primary trend here on the weekly over the last 6 candles is up, right? So I would expect it to go up, but it is stuck in range. And when it's stuck in range, it's hard to predict whether or not it has to go back down here before going up here again, or is it just going to keep going up? I also think that it's a little bit too negative sloping here with the 20-week moving average. So we might need some additional time. Maybe this is the inverted head and shoulder pattern to push through, but maybe this is the cup and we might need a little bit more of a handle before pushing through too. To build up a little bit more energy, right? Regardless, I think AFRM is still a bullish chart, but it's just not in line with the other ones that I've been talking about. MELI is a bullish stock. MELI is a stock that looks like it wants to go higher. It's building up a lot of impulsivity here on the weekly as well as the monthly. To the point where it probably wants to hit the 1.236 or the 1.272, whichever fit level you prefer. It looks like probably we're going to get rejected somewhere around here. because it's just way, way, way too far overextended. And it's even really getting a little bit too far away from the Tenkan. But the great thing is also very much rapidly rising, right? This is how impulsive this bull trend is. It also backtested the 20 here and backtested 0.886. It looks like it wants to go higher. It's a little bit overextended. It can stay overextended for a long time, but I probably would expect that to maybe get rejected here in 1.236 or the 1.272. That's also possible, right? These two levels, anywhere around 2,700, 2,800, would be a caution zone, if you will. Regardless, it's a bull trend. I don't think there's any argument to go against that. I just think it's a little bit overextended and you could use a little bit of cool down, but what do I know? Stocks don't really listen to me, especially when this channel is so parabolically on the way up. It's going to do what it wants to do. 4. Shift 4 payments. Is this a bullish stock? Yes, it is. Same thing. Channeling up higher highs, higher lows, right? Came back down, forming a morning star pattern over here as well with a doji candle here, down, doji, and up. These are nice reversal patterns. Where did the doji test liquidity at? That is 0.786. We are above the 0.786. We are favoring further all-time highs coming soon, right? So we're just going to have to give it some time here. With that said, it is also lagging behind Shopify, SOFI, and Robinhood in the sense that we have not yet reclaimed a rising Tenkan. You see how Shopify is above that, SOFI is above that, Robinhood is way above that. Shift 4, not quite. So still a little bit more work to do, but I cannot deny this is a higher low type of situation. NU is looking much better. NU has reclaimed the Tenkan. MU has come back and back tested the 0.786 and passed. Together back testing a rising Kijun, the red line over here, and passed, right? What do you do after you pass? You move on to the next level. You move on to the next level, which is going to be your previous IPO all-time high price over here, as well as the Tenkan. Reclaim all of these from resistance back into support is a big deal, right? I initially was really bit worried about this head and shoulder pattern, but is able to reclaim the 20-month moving average. Even the 20-month moving average was losing steam here, but the 0.786 was able to push it back above the 20-month moving average. It was able to keep staying above 20-month moving average and gravitate back up to the upper Bollinger Band here, around the 1.414 FIB level. Then I think there is a good chance to re-accelerate the 20-month moving average and create additional volatility to allow Bollinger Band to continue to expand to go up higher. I think it probably wants to gravitate back up to 1.414 based on what the Bollinger Band is behaving, based on the fact we came back test the median line over here with the 20 moving average and passed. Most likely we're gravitating back up to 1.414 around 16 bucks is probably where it's going to go. PayPal is extremely painful, but even PayPal is showing a very beautiful reversal pattern over here with the morning star down, doji up, right? And the doji, it's not really like a doji because it does have a little bit of volume, but it's a pretty decent doji-ish candle. And it's also got a big wick down below, a lot of demand down below, reclaiming the 20-month moving average. The only issue is it's lagging behind the other stuff. It's not even able to push through the red line here quite just yet, right? You remember I was showing you pretty much all the other stocks is already back above the red line. Not PayPal. PayPal is lagging behind, but it's reclaiming the 20-month moving average. I think that PayPal is going to do just fine. I think this is higher low type situation. But it's just significantly lagging behind, and there's not really any particular reason for me to want to enter PayPal at this point because I already am pretty heavily allocated to who is SOFI Shop and AFRM. I'm just going to leave this alone. It doesn't quite have the momentum that I like to see. Formerly known as Square, this is XYZ, Block Inc. What do I think? Very nice trees at bottom. It probably have bottomed here already. It probably wants to get back up above. It has a lot of resistance up about 0.236 is probably going to end up getting broken here again because of beautiful tweezer bottom over here. Probably have enough energy from here to push through back at least to the 0.382. It's been stuck here at 0.382 since really like 2022, right? It's 2025 now. It's stuck underneath that for about 3 years. This move down here was extremely vicious. I did not really expect this move down here. It was bad, right? It was very, very bad because it did get over the tank in the kitchen and you would expect these to be support level. Nope, it just decided to slice down. How bad was the earnings? How bad are they doing? It looks like it did end up getting rejected here, but it did have a lot of support down below. Nope, decided to slice down the 2-week Ichimoku cloud. It didn't even care, right? Same thing on weekly Ichimoku cloud. It didn't even care. It just sliced through all these things, right? It's going to have a hard time breaking above the 0.38, the 0.236 here immediately. But with this kind of rounded bottom here, I think it will break through. You're also going to have a little bit of hard time short term breaking about the negative sloping 20-week moving average. But looking at a higher time frame, I think it will do it. I think it would minimally push through the 0.236 because those trees are bottom and get up to the 20-month moving average, and eventually push through the 0.382. You see like how all these things, there's a lot of resistance above to break above to get to the 0.382, right? A lot of things that need to work out is still in the process of working out. I don't really want to get into it at this point because it showed this hand over the last few months and it's just extremely brutal. So sorry guys, I was getting a little bit more bullish over here. I think I misread the stock and I'm not in it. But at this point I'm going to be patient. I'm not going to enter that here. Upstart is the final stock I want to talk about. Upstart is also underperforming, right? Because initially it did get above the tank in the kitchen over here, but it broke back down underneath below. Does it look bullish? Yeah, because you have a very big, nice candle with a big giant wick down below. Tells you a lot of demand underneath, so it's going to have enough energy to probably push through about the tank in the kitchen here. But it's still underneath these as resistance. It is still underneath all that as resistance. With that said, it's also basically just backtesting a slightly rising 20-month moving average. Higher high, higher low type situation, right? I think Upstart is going to look okay, but it might lag behind Robinhood, SoFi, Shopify, AFRM, MELI, and I think that this is a stock that I'm just going to kind of steer away from at this point because it's building up energy to go higher, but it's not quite there just yet. Anyway, thank you so much for listening to FinTech Thursday. I hope you do enjoy these types of videos. I'm going to try to talk a little bit more about them publicly. But I cannot deny that Robinhood is looking very, very nice. I actually also love the SoFi chart. I'm going to just speculate here. I'm going to tell you exactly what I think. And what I think doesn't matter because it's just pure speculation. I think most likely Robinhood will end up pushing about the 0.86 and go up higher to some of these levels of about to close the cycle. I think SoFi is building up enough energy in forming higher highs and higher lows here to really push for the 0.786. And I think sometime in this cycle, it will probably hit the 40s to finish the cycle. Or if I'm lucky, it could end up hitting the 60s to finish the cycle. I think Shopify is making all-time high this cycle. I think AFRM is lagging behind, but I think it's going to break through the 0.786 eventually. And then the minimum probably going to end up challenging the previous all-time high. That's what I think about these stocks. MELI is going to keep making all-time highs after it cools down. That's what I think, right? 4, I think it's going to keep going up higher. I think it's going to end up touching some of these levels up here above in the triple digits, right? And you has to repair its chart, so it's probably going to end up pushing higher, re-challenge the 1.4 and 4, around 16 bucks, see how it reacts there. If it pushes through, then it keeps going, right? PayPal is just significantly laggard here. I'm not going to pay too much attention to it. Square, unfortunately, is a laggard here. I'm not going to pay too much attention to it at this point. Same thing with Upstart. It's somewhere in the intermediate. I think that most likely this cycle for Upstart will be strong enough to push through the 0.76. How it reacts there, if we end up getting rejected, then the cycle's over, then that's it, right? But I think we probably end up going to push up to 0.786 up here eventually, right? It's just slower. Anyway, now that I share exactly what I think, don't listen to me. Don't buy any like call options or anything like that, because all of these technical analysis is still relatively speculative, right? You want to look at the trend, you want to see what the whales are doing. You want to do the best you can based on the available price action, as well as the volume data, as well as the level data that you get from technical analysis. You do the best you can, but it's not absolutism. We I think that we follow the trend, and I think the stocks that I picked so far has done pretty well. I'm not going to do anything about them. I'm just going to leave them be. I want to say one more thing. I generally don't talk about fintech stocks that much on Danny's Patreon, with the exception that I usually save these videos for his Patreon. I'm just going to release it to public today. If you are interested in my stock analysis in combination with Danny's analysis, which is my major collaborator, if you want to join his Patreon, feel free to do so. I usually make a few videos for him on the weekend using both his charts and my charts. We collaborate and we kind of come up with an idea with our combined powers in terms of what's going to happen next. Anyway, thank you so much for listening to FinTech Thursday. You guys have a good one. Bye.